I have until December, like early December.
Okay.
All right, we're going to call the meeting to order. The Joint Review Board for September 26th. Roll call. We have Chad Weidinger,
Here.
Mike Stango,
Here.
Matthews,
Here.
Brett Weicker,
Here.
and Diane Ellenbecker is here. I call for approval of the agenda.
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Approval of the minutes from August 29th, 2017.
Motion to hold until next meeting.
Second.
And then they be included in the next packet.
Yes, they will be included in the next
I
package.
guess for the minutes, so
Okay.
someone reviews it, they understand why.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Number 4, staff report of tax increment District 12, TID 12, I-43 Industrial Park. That's Kevin.
Yes. All right, so I sent out the staff report along with the amended project plan for TID 12. In short, what we are proposing is what we discussed at our first meeting, what we discussed at the public hearing at RDA, and was discussed and approved by the council. In short, we are looking for an allocation of funds to close 3 TIDs, up to $200,000 to close TID 6, which is Say Neighborhood, Navarino, $350,000 to close TID 11, which is Old Main Street, and $150,000 to close TID 15, which is Old North. The intention with those is if this is approved, that we would work on the process to close all of those down effective in 2018. There's no reason to keep those open any longer, so we would start the process to do that. DOR has cutoff periods in terms of where that needs to go, so this would be the first step in closing those off, so we would be meeting again if this is approved to start the closure process for those. Again, just setting up any escrow accounts to pay any outstanding obligations that we have with those, so those are whole.
So just to be clear, so that's the reason why it's not included in this resolution, is because of the timing, so you can't do it.
Correct. We
Okay.
can't do it for 2017, and it's, I guess when we went into it, not knowing how this would go with this board, RDA, public council, I think we didn't want to start a process of closing it down if we didn't have funds to do it. And I think that was the reason of, doing this first. But yes, in terms of timing, we cannot do it for 17. It would have to be for 18.
Okay, and you're not going to make any more expenditures in those TIDs?
Correct.
TID 6, 11, and 15?
Correct, we would just look and see what has been obligated and then close all those out. The values in there provide a little bit of a cushion from what we calculate in our books, but look, just as we go through, if something pops up, that should be sufficient to cover. So in terms of that allocation, and then in TID 12, 2 pieces that you'd asked us to look at, one in terms of the fund balance. The TID 12 fund balance of 3.9, that was looking at for year end of 2015, so that's where we started the year for 2016. The actual fund balance is closer to 4.4.
4.6.
4.6 in there. So with that, there's sufficient funds to cover this. We discussed in the development team kind of the last big expenditure project in there. Planned is for the reconstruction of Erie Road, along with expansion of the sewer service out there to allow us to expand the business park to the east. And as you know, we are also in the middle of approving a development agreement with Nature's Way to purchase some property from the city and build a new production facility out there. With that, we believe that we could have enough cash in hand to pay for those expenses and be able to shut down the TID by 2020, potentially a year earlier. We're not accounting for, Aurora's done some new projects. The psychiatric hospital was not fully online until this year, and then Nature's Way, their expansion itself will add some value. So there's potential for us that could be pushed even a little bit earlier. But 2020 for sure is where we could see us shutting that TID down.
And all of that activity resides within that TID, correct?
Correct. Yeah, 12 kind of makes, you want to pull it up, kind of makes a U from like Aurora and 43, goes along the south and then comes back up along Erie Road.
So are you gonna do like an overlay TID then, or is it gonna be, how is that gonna look?
For
For the-
Nature's Way?
Or, yeah, so then the next section, you talked about another.
Correct. Well,
And then the second
Yep.
part of the question, I'm sorry, is that if you're gonna do like an overlay, can you just do the Erie, not the Erie Road, but at least the Interceptor and that TID as opposed to this TID? The only reason I say this is because like 10 years ago, I used to work here and we talked about shutting down TID 12, and that was like 10 years ago, so it just keeps on, going. And I know it's the city's cash cow, and I know it's really important to make, a couple of projects work, but it's one of those things like, if we can shut them down, we should try to shut them down sooner than later. And I do appreciate you saying you can shut them down earlier, but it'd be nice to shut it down, a little sooner if possible.
correct. And I think once we finalize a development agreement with Nature's Way for their facility, we will have a better understanding. The Erie Road project and the Interceptor are getting designed right now. So once those are bid, I think we'll have a better understanding of what those exactly are going to cost. I think one of the things for the city is we want to make sure for those projects, we pay for them in cash. That if we don't have to borrow or bond or look at new obligations for that we're able to pay those down. Our intention would be is if we can capture, because there's no property value for the Erie Road parcel that's been city-owned for a long time, we'd be able to capture all the increment there. And so being able to capture that value increment in TID 12 for Nature's Way, to be able to fund their TIF incentive. And it's a pay-go, but we would look at, projecting out where that's at. That if we could satisfy Erie Road, the Interceptor, and Nature's Way with that, we would not look then at doing an overlay or a new district until we really had another project in queue. And I think that's one of the things, we talk about here about timing and setting up the TID. That's one of the things we feel we could make it work based on the balance that we have right now in TID 12.
Can I ask another quick question? For the debt service, did you guys like refinance it all? Because I noticed the interest payment is pretty close to the principal payment. And I don't remember it being like that in the past. It's great that you're gonna pay cash, I'm trying to get to why. And then my other question is like the administrative fees of $71,000. What are you guys doing with that? $71,000, that's a lot, because I noticed the 19 one that you want to do is about $40,000. Yeah, I understand the budgetary pressures, and we always looked at TIFs a long time ago, but just, 71 grand, what are you guys doing with 71 grand a year for that TIF?
Sure. So 71, again, gets allocated back primarily to administration. There's a good chunk, there's a good chunk that goes to our department, Community and Economic Development, in terms of, I think one of the things that we're doing, marketing those properties for sale, also working with the I-43 business owners out there, also working in terms of just not only, with those projects coming the approvals, in terms of the entitlements and site plans and other reviews, in terms of just our work in that TID to keep it active and keep it growing. I think there's, we talk about reduction, expansion. There's a greater focus on TID 12 because we know that increment, again, by the time we pull off the TID.
So is that more activity-based, or is it just a general allocation? I think that's been part of the conversation.
If I remember from the way the budget is general, it's just allocated for your staff time, and there's no time study on it, there's no, we're doing this amount of marketing for this one TIF or one TID.
I would say with that, we do keep it kind of proportional to the different TIDs and activities that we're doing in there. Yeah, I agree, there's not a timestamp tracking of, okay, this was specifically a TID activity, but in terms of like matching up where our development efforts are focused or the actual workload is, that's how it matches up in terms of the whole TID allocations to how much time generally, yes, we're spending on, and in both, generally community and economic development, but also finance. Spends a good amount of time in terms of like administering the development agreements. And that is what, making sure that they're meeting obligations, going through, processing receipts, making sure they're good. I think law also involved in that. And that's generally been how those have been allocated.
Just historically, I can see that since 2007, the admin charges have been anywhere from about 62,000 up to 86,000 on an annual basis, 88,000, and then actually 2011, it was even higher, it was over 100,000, but that's a year that they had project costs on the Erie Street. And so.
Oh, so you put the, like, yeah.
So there's more engineering costs, and so
Yeah.
it is,
That's
like Kevin said, there is a spreadsheet, and based on meetings and events and things that happen in the different TIFs, that more time is allocated.
Oh, so you do track it?
It is tracked, not hour for hour, but as more and more, if a project is heavy, and if one TID is heavier in projects, that will get more expenses, more hours allocated to it, and then they get a larger allocation for the year.
So my question is then, I appreciate you going back and taking a look at this, but is there a way to put more firm language versus would be a good candidate for early closure in 2020 would be closed by no later than 2020? Because I think part of it is that it's kind of the conversation of, we know it's a cash cow, and we recognize there's some certain expenses you want to cover based off of the activity you have. You got a couple of years to do that, but is it possible to put more finite language in there that says no later than 2020? It always allows you to close in 2019.
Yeah, two things, and I have to just defer to legal on that in terms of where the obligations are. I think two things. One, I think for sure making it part of the motion here today so that it's like clear in the record in terms of we're doing this, but look, we're winding it down. The other would be is if we look at some of the closures. We bring back to close 6/11/15. I'll talk to DOR and talk to, I don't know if we can set like that sunset date that far out. If we can, I think we can do that.
I think you can accrue it, and as long as you have the cash for it, you can do it. But I think I think our problem tonight is I think we either have to vote for or against it. We can't like amend this, so we'd have to say we're rejecting this, but we're rejecting it because we'd like a firm close date on, we could do on the shutdown of TID 12 and TID 6, 11, and 15. So we could send that back to the board and say, listen, you guys need to give us a firm commitment there.
It's just more a matter of, it's a gift that keeps on giving. And again, I no problem to give a little bit more time just to get things done, so we're not trying to be prescriptive, but I also don't want to go back and say it's 2022 because this project came up and we got funds and we can.
Sure.
That's my.
But I think just honestly in reality of terms of like additional projects coming up, like we don't really have any more like development land to do. So that's why I'm kind of saying the tail end of that Nature's Way project, Erie Road and Interceptor. After that, there's nothing for us on a horizon in terms of like we're marketing or can see a potential development agreement coming through because it's built out.
So the property goes further out than Erie Road, from the map that I've been looking at.
Sure.
We have we have a school right in the middle of it. So I guess that's what I'm interested in. How far are you going to be developing? Because there's a lot of land that isn't developed out there on the east.
Yeah, let me see. I think you're looking at them. I'm going to pull.
I pulled up the red one that's in the report.
So this is TID map, and this actually includes our original 1, 2, and 3. Just from some historical perspective. So that's what I talked about, TID 12, kind of making that horse show around, why some of the Aurora projects have gotten in, the psychiatric hospital. And then this is the parcel we're talking about right here for Nature's Way. So TID 12 does go all out this way, but it's not developable because we don't have infrastructure. We don't have sewer, we
But
don't
I
have.
mean, would you put infrastructure in there with money from,
But that's what you're doing, you're gonna put an interceptor in there, right?
So the proposal is that with TID 12, the cash that's in there now, to redo Erie Road, to bring in the interceptor that is able to service this area and expand it. But until we have a project, we would put this in, close TID 12, and then look potentially at a new TID if there's a project for this area moving east.
So then I have a question. So then, why would we, because I believe you kind of believe in PAGO, so why would we take money to do an interceptor? Why wouldn't we just shut it down early, and then if a project comes up, then put the interceptor in?
Because we need the interceptor for the Erie Road project, for Nature's Way.
Oh, you need it for...
We need it for that one.
and where
yes,
exactly is
correct.
that going in the area?
Right there.
Okay.
We need it for this project.
Okay.
We had looked at some other facilities, but because this is a production facility, there's a high volume of water coming in and going out, so you need the
So
sewer
what's,
capacity.
so Nature's Way, what, I think I saw something briefly in the paper this morning or yesterday or something, but I did not read the article. So what's,
So they are putting in a manufacturing facility. They're gonna keep, their existing
Yep.
facility now, to start 70,000 square feet.
Mhm.
They're buying 28 acres, so in
Okay.
the foreseeable future, that could easily go up to 200,000 square feet plus.
okay,
But yeah, buying all of this acreage here.
Okay.
It's a production facility. We've entertained some other offers on there that didn't need it, in terms of like storage or warehousing and those types of
Mhm.
things. But this one needs water, and that water needs somewhere to go after, and we don't have enough long-term to get the capacity without that interceptor here.
okay.
Is that just dead end in 12 somewhere?
The interceptor,
Yeah.
front end or back end?
Well, it's
So-
going from there down, right?
So it's going to tie back in, and I have to ask the
Or
Public Works
actually-
Director. It will come in, we're bringing it in here, with the thought that it will be able to be extended out.
Okay, so
based
you're
on
not
the-
extending it, you're just bringing it to the...
We're bringing it
Okay.
here for right now. That is what's in the kind of the scope of the project, from here back into the main system. Kind of going through, where's Erie? Grandview subdivision through there.
Yeah, nothing more with that. Oh, so you'll be able to then use that to develop those lots out there too then?
Yes and no. It's actually going under. They could be.
But they'll build it tap into it, and you won't get development without that. So basically, by them doing that, you're gonna get some residual development outside the tip, which is good. So,
Yeah.
You're setting yourself up for future, for your next.
yeah.
Correct.
So-
It makes all this stuff in here,
Okay.
residential
In play.
mixed use, also available to tap into that.
Yep.
Just, I hate
So
to
no,
be
that-
here 10 years from now, and be like, yeah, but maybe we should shut down 12.
Yeah.
It's been 20 years.
Yeah, I'm just, again, I'd like to know that it's going to be closed down, because I think part of it is that I'm happy to work with cities, because I think it helps everybody, and clearly understand the opportunity to expand within the existing TID, but sometimes it's hard to shut down when the money's still there.
Sure.
Because
No.
it can help other TIDs, and again, I think it's ready to, it'd be great to get some of that benefit back as well.
There's a lot of benefit to get back.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly right.
But I think, yeah,
Just actually on that point, so how much is left that's owed on TID 12? What's outstanding? Like, what's the,
Well, I'm gonna just look at the report we submitted to the state, and it was about 8.5 million.
is left?
Yep, future project costs. But that, and I think that includes our 3 million, that was for, let me just,
Oh, so you're accounting for the 3 million in fund balance?
no, I think the 3 million that we had put projected for Erie Road.
Okay. Oh, because you're gonna pay cash for it, and then you'll have...
Correct, and then-
Then how much increment does that generate each year, like dollars?
Right now, 2017, it pulled in proceeds, taxes, it pulled in 810,000. We're expecting 994 next year, and a little over $1 million by 2019, but that's just some projections. So,
Okay, so, and just hypothetically, just play along for a little while. So the frustrating thing is that you gave 5 million for downtown, you have 3 million, you have 8 million right there, right? So 8 million, you could actually close that thing down, not right down today, and just be done with it. But obviously, that's not the situation we're in, it just, that's what the concern would be, is that you have the money to do it, but then you allocate it somewhere else, so you're forced to extend it. And then, we're taking some money out to pay for these other things, where, in fact, we could have shut this down. I know we could have shut it down when I was here about 10 years ago. And we just keep on extending it. And it's nothing about Kevin or nothing about the finance people. It's just a little frustrating that, we're doing these moves and we're trying to be helpful, but yet we're just extending the life of the TIF. And I don't know about the school district, but we're hitting our levy limit pretty soon. Well, actually, you guys went to referendum. And you're like, what, 43% of the TIF? So, I mean, you're impacted, I'm impacted a little less than you, but I mean, you're the majority of it. And then Brent over there, he'll get a nice big tax, no, he probably won't get a tax cut. So it's one of those things where it'd be nice if there was more certainty to this, because we can trust you, be like, yeah, Kevin, you're a good guy, we know it, but then, 2 years from now, a new regime takes in, and the next thing you know, we're gonna extend this for, not extend it, but we're gonna spend this, and this, and then we'll end up with that problem.
So if we went back and asked for a revision or an amendment, any issues or concerns from your perspective, other than DOR approving that, which I think they would, but is there anything from a political standpoint or perspective that may say, wait a minute, no, we're not gonna be forced to close?
To tell you the truth, my 2 cents, and I didn't mean to interrupt, if we were gonna go down that road, I'd be more comfortable with just postponing this for 30 days, coming back, because if DOR says no, I don't want to send it back to the council and go through that rigmarole. I'd rather just know whether or not we have the ability to do it and make sure that they have enough, I'm sorry, I had 3 hours of sleep last night, crying kids, just enough reserves to cover the allocation, because what we don't want to do is short them and then cause bigger problems, although you could do an overlying TIF too, which should take care of any issues you have. Because Nature's Way is huge. We don't want to lose that. We don't want to.
Right. The problem is we can't do an overlay TIF because the increment, we can't do one effective of this year.
Okay.
Because we're already at
there.
the end of the timeline for having one effective of 1/1
Okay.
of 17.
Okay. But what about going back to, his idea, but instead of sending it back to the board, we just postpone this for 30 days or a week or whatever. I don't know what the deadline is on these deals, but then look at it that way. So we're not, potentially killing anything, because I mean, for me, development's important. I'm preaching to the choir, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I usually talk.
I'm just trying to understand from a procedural standpoint, if we went back and amended the language, what potential issues would you run into?
So as far as the timing, I think we wouldn't be able to firm out that, I mean, the 2020 date was based on our estimation of the 3 projects I identified. And until we sign the development agreement with Nature's Way and bid those projects, I wouldn't be comfortable giving you like that exact number of where it is. I think I conservatively estimated, and I think it could be before 2020. But just based on like the cash flows, like Deanna said, in terms of that 2 years, near $1 million coming in an increment, I think we built out that we would have enough to satisfy all of those 3 things. But I don't think we could be there until after we actually bid the project.
Okay, so how conservative is 2020? Let's put it that way.
I think probably by a year.
Okay.
Because it's Erie Road construction, or sewer infrastructure, they're looking at that to be done in 2018.
Correct.
And then the Nature's Way would be completed in 19.
So let me just think about this in a different way. So if we approve this and we put in the discussion, it is a clear expectation of the Joint Review Board that is closed no later than 2020. I know I'm just.
Yeah. I don't think we can make it continue.
Is there a way that you can approve it the way it is, because we want to approve it to close the other 3? and ask for it to be brought back for review next year or something, and at that
Well,
time.
each year there's a review, but we can't take official action. I mean, we're kind of like powerless, I would say.
But with that, I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, are two different issues of, I mean, one, the allocation amendment, I think that's before you in order to like close those three out. But I think the call for a plan for closure is something, and again, yeah, does that happen from a council member, or can it be here that, look, I mean, a communication that I would like an agenda item to be put on for, for JRB to discuss then about that for the next closure period that's coming up for this one to be considered. And I think, at that, if we can put it on for, like I said, the closure deadlines being in, June of next year, does TID 12, I mean, 6, 11, and 15 are going to be on that agenda for closure. Do you also want to put 12 on that list? And a recommendation could be, yep, we're ready to close it, or here's kind of the timetable of when we'd like to close it. I think is that where I'm getting at?
I'm looking for an end. And again, with providing the city sufficient flexibility to do what you need to do. So not trying to disrupt anything, but I just don't want it to keep leaking out.
Sure.
Because I think I think there's been a lot of flexibility to allow the city to do a lot of different things with this, but it would be good to close it out and turn the page, and given that you're close to ending the development anyway,
Sure.
It seems reasonable.
So, I mean, I think both Director Ellenbecker and I can be comfortable with again, if DUR allows us to do it, that we would come with you on an agenda in next year or later this year about we're closing 6, 11, and 15, we're closing them in 2018. And if it allows us to project out that far, we're closing TID 12 in 2020. And have that be a formal action.
Great.
I mean, is that?
Yeah. I just
Sure.
want to make sure that it's noted that we're looking for closure. I'm personally looking for closure. Or hopefully the JRB is.
Like I said, I mean, I think that agenda could come back, again, if we can do that, for sure, 2020, maybe even 2019.
Okay.
But just for a technical piece though, JRB can't. I mean, I'll have to take a look at it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that we had the authority to do that. I
Yeah.
didn't think we did.
The one other piece, though, we would probably have to do is just the council, because that council gave RDA authority to do certain things, and closing 12 was not one of them.
Right.
But I would run through and say, look, council, put TID 12 on that closure list as well, so we could start taking the actions to shut it down.
I don't think we're mandating. I don't think we have the ability to say you must shut it down. We're just saying
Requesting.
Yeah, we're requesting based off of the flexibility we're providing for the city.
Sure, and maybe to answer, Mr. Ringer's question, that by taking this 700,000 out, I don't feel like we're saying, oh, we got to stay till 2025.
Yeah, that's, it was a larger
Yeah.
discussion, so, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So now that we've said all that, how do we?
So.
Any other discussions, or?
Move to receive and place on file the director's report, or the staff report on tax increment District 12, I-43 Industrial Park.
I'll second.
All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. We'll go to number 5, consideration with possible action on resolution adopting allocation amendment to the project plan for tax increment District 12 to 12, the I-43 Industrial Park.
So are we kind of looking for approval with the understanding that the city will bring back proposal to close TID 6, 11, and 15 in what year?
2018.
2018, and then 12 in 2020?
Yes,
That would be a fair?
I think so.
Okay. I didn't write that down.
So you would be looking to adopt the resolution as is.
With the understanding, this kind of goes to your point of, with the understanding that the city will be bringing a resolution to close TID 6, 11, and 15 in 2018, and TID 12 in 2020. Again, that's not my opinion.
Well, that's the thing. I would think that this is probably just a standalone approval, right?
Yeah.
It is, but I think it's important to like note that, like,
Yeah.
Okay.
from the taxing jurisdictions, like, we need this to happen. We need the closures to happen. I mean, not only 6, 11, 15, but we need 12.
Yep.
Any other discussion?
Well, I didn't make that motion. I was just saying it for
Well, I
someone.
think it sounded good.
What you said?
Do you want to make it?
You said,
Who's going to move?
Someone has to
I'll
make
s-
that motion.
I'll second it once you said.
Somebody's got to move. Chad's not moving it.
He's not gonna move it?
No.
I'll move.
Okay.
Second.
I try to show up as small, as least as I can on minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right, go on to number 6, staff report of tax increment District 19, which is TID 19, which would be Easttown, East Mason.
All right, so this is the creation, again, of TID 19, basically East Town Wall, East Mason area. Went through and provided in the staff report just an outline of the statutory process we took to do this in terms of our meeting dates, public notices. I mentioned in there were no comments at the public hearing, and there were no comments from our council. So what has been presented to you, I sent out an updated project plan that just, again, made some minor edits in terms of just adding some more detail in terms of discussing, the district and just making sure the numbers are correct. I also did print out, it was not in there in case you are interested in reading the legals. We have our legal description, all 5 pages of it. If you want to go through and make sure that's really what TID 19 is going to encompass. That is all in there. And in short, it just kind of, our belief is that, yes, creating the TID here allows development projects to move forward. The 2 noted in here, the renovation of the Cub Foods and the renovation of the East Town Mall, which are now also both under development agreements. The East Town Mall one was passed at the last council meeting. So in there, we at least have the guaranteed assessment in there that going into the TID, that value, again, it's in court in terms of what that base value is going to be, but whatever that base value is, it's going to be at least that base value. And actually, it's only for 1 year. So it's kind of a moot point in terms of this discussion here. But with that,
Can I have a
Sure.
question? Is that the Dark Star issue at Cubs then?
no.
That's not.
It's
No,
not related to
sorry.
Dark Star. It's more related to what's an arm's length market transaction. I
And
believe
the
that-
purchase
that-
price.
That's what they're
Oh, so they're
arguing over.
contesting the
They
value.
purchased it for around 3 million.
Yep.
It's assessed at 7, and they want
Oh.
assessed rate at set 3 million.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, that's, yeah,
Interesting.
that's the line of argument. But we wrote the development agreement that whatever the courts decide is the base value, that's the base value that goes into the TID. And then the development agreement says that we will, whatever the base value is, we will keep it at that value. And I believe they were just talking about 1 year for 17, which is this year. But starting in 18, they will agree to have it at 7.5 million, which is the city's number. So even if it goes down, it will be coming in to the parcel. That's what was projected in the pro forma. It'll be coming in at 7 million starting next year, minimal. And then going up to 15, and then by 2022, $18 million that they will guarantee at least payment on that value.
And then the legal description is exactly the same as the map that you showed us?
Exactly the same.
Okay.
We did not add in or take out any parcels.
Okay. Well, my 2 cents is I think this place should have been developed a long time ago. It's a good thing, it really is. Now, just because I can, the only thing I would be a little concerned about, and I know this is either a straight yes or no, so voting for this, but if you look at it, so you have 1.5 in sidewalks, travel, paved trails, bicycle lanes, signs, signals, pedestrian enhancements. And then you have $1 million for pocket parks, landscaping, wayfill and fair signs, banners, and then 1.5 million for city staff for marketing and research. It just seems like we're bailing out 3 other TIDs, and one of the reasons why we're bailing out 3 other TIDs is because they made investments that didn't create the increment that was needed. So that's the only thing that doesn't sit very well with me, is we're kind of going down this path again where we're gonna do these things, so, and that money could be set aside to actually help a developer develop his land. So for instance, I'll use Brett, would you rather get $1 million in extra assistance to do your project, or would you rather have $1 million set aside for green space or for another staff person? How successful were you in recruiting businesses to come to your development, or did the city bring people there to develop it? Did they brand it? Did they do these things? Because I'm assuming that development plan kind of had the same type of set-asides for it. So I think it's about using money wisely and not using so much of it, and creating a place like Military Avenue where, hey, it's great to do something real nice and sprucey, but if it doesn't bring increment, it doesn't help us. And then what happens? Well, it's in decrement, and then it's defunct, and then we have to take $20 million off the tax, or not 20 million, in value, sorry about that. And I know it's a little less than that because the state recessed it and everyone got the hose on that. But that's kind of the larger issue here, is those dollar amounts. And again, I'm voting for this because it's the right thing to do, but it just, that's my only harp on this, is, I love trails and I love it, but honestly, if I lived across the street, I'm not walking there. If I'm buying stuff, I'm driving. That's our community here. And I'd rather use those dollars to give to people to actually build an increment, because if you build something nice, guys, they're gonna come. If you don't build something nice, they're just not gonna come. It doesn't matter how much branding you do. It's just, would you rather have those dollars set aside for a developer to build a project and get people to go there because it's a cool project, or are you just gonna do a bunch of trails and infrastructure stuff in hopes that people will just discover a place? You're better off building something big and awesome. That's my 2 cents right now. That changes every couple hours.
With that, I think the only cost that we'd really maybe commit to or committed to in the pro forma was the administration, and that's that 40,000 starting in year 1, just kind of estimating our allocation of 40,000 and then, growing at,
Yeah,
100%.
it was my soul.
No, but the rest of that, I think, we don't have any, we've noted them in here because I think it's important for us that, look, if we get to a point where we feel these are important, we could do them, but we have no plans for any of these to lead with them. If I can make it that point, that we're not budgeting, we're not gonna take out debt service to improve the traffic signals or sidewalks or anything like that.
Okay.
These are all, once things start moving, we can go back and enhance the area, but we do not intend to lead with these of any capital expense. and
Okay,
debt service.
that's a little different. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yep. Mhm. I think we did the same with University Avenue, same kind of thing. Just, it's nice to build those things, but I agree with you that I'd rather incentivize the development, and then once things get rolling, if we got money coming in, go back, make it pretty, make it nice to keep it going, but.
It's part of the.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, that's more than fair.
That area can use some better.
Right, exactly, yes.
Any other discussion on the TID 19?
Motion to approve.
Is
It's just staff report.
Receive and place on
Oh,
file?
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sorry. I thought we were on that whole thing.
Not quite
Motion to
yet.
receive and place in file.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carried. All right, number 7, consideration with possible action on resolution creating tax increment District 19, TID 19, East Town, East Mason, and the adoption of the project plan.
Motion to approve, since I wasted 5 minutes of everyone's time.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Any other matters? Anything else? Otherwise, motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Well, so you guys are giving like 7 months or 8 months or a year.
Or when you sign all your other county lackey